So yeah, hi again everyone. My name is Ulvis Goldbergs and I'm working as automation engineer here at TestDevLab. And yeah, today we will take a look at some mobile automation tools and about some strategies how to use those tools. So firstly, let's start. Why do we need automation? What's the reason for that? Yeah. For example, we have some applications, we are developing those applications, and the functionality for those applications are getting more and more complicated, and they're taking care of more and more important tasks, for example, some kind of banking solutions, money transfer and stuff, and users use them more often. So yeah, here in the graphic we can see that it's taking more time than desktop users and stuff. So yeah, this code is getting more complicated and complicated, and it's even harder and harder to test that code. And yeah, let's imagine that we need to run an application on all these devices. For each manufacturer there are a lot of different devices, and our app will act different on these devices. And each of these devices have different screens, so we need to test them on all those screens. To do that manually, it's a real pain. So yeah, we need to figure out something else. And yeah, if we have some bugs on these applications, yeah, there is some illustration how much it will cost to fix this application, to fix this bug on different state. For example, if you will find a bug on the coding, it will cost almost nothing. But if you will find a bug in the production, we can lose users. We have to waste testers' time. We have to waste managers' time to manage all the coding, all the testing and stuff. So it will cost a lot more money for that. So that's why we need automation. So here we can see some summary. Why do we need this? And yeah, the main gain is that we can increase the test coverage and the code coverage, and it will allow us to get faster feedback, more reliable code, which we can deliver to our clients, and eventually it will decrease the cost for our product. So now let's take a look at different test levels, and we can split these test levels in a few general categories: white box tests and black box tests. White box tests we can split in unit and integration tests. We'll take a look at these at the beginning, and after that we'll take some look at Blackbox Automation. And yeah, about the unit tests, how many of you are developers? Oh, okay, a lot. And how many of you are actually writing unit tests? Okay, a bit more. Yeah, okay, someone is writing them. That's good. It's something. It's better than nothing. So yeah, basically unit tests are the first level of testing, and it's very important level of testing. Basically, unit tests are testing the smallest testable part of the application, which is modules and classes. And yeah, developers have to write those kind of things, and they have to run very often them. If it's very good practice to run them after every commit. So yeah, let's take a look at simple example how to write one unit test at simple application. I will first show that application on the screen. So here we can see my device screen, and it's very simple application, like a quiz game where there is some multiple answers, and we have to answer some questions. So let's write a unit test for object which contains this information about our question, which contains the question, the answer, and the possible answers. So let's take a look at this. One moment, I'll switch my eye to the presentation mode that we can see something there. So yeah, I already have created a small method which will validate our question. So first thing what we need to do to write a simple unit test is we need to define this object which we are going to test. So yeah, let's define simple test question. with all required parameters. The first one is, for example, the question itself. We'll just call it name, and then the possible answers for them, like A, B, C, D, and the correct answer. Let's just put there A. So yeah, now we have our unit which we need to test, and yeah, just let's write a quick validation for that. So let's test if our unit name is the same as our name which we provided creating this object. So yeah, that's it. Simple test is done. Now let's test it. Let's see how it's running and if it's working. So here we can see that there's happening some compilation in the background. It's very basic example to get understanding how it's working. So one moment, we'll be done with the compilation soon. Yeah, we can see that it executed the test and the test passed. So let's try one simple negative scenario. Let's just give to test the wrong name. So let's try it again. Okay, yeah, now we can see the test failed, and we can see it failed because expected result was wrong name and actual was name. So yeah, we can see how less time it takes to write this kind of test. It's very simple, and yeah, but it's very important for that. So let's see what kind of benefits we can get from this kind of testing level. So yeah, basically it increases the development speed because we can find bugs very fast in the application. If it's some kind of very simple logical bug in the code, the debugging is very easy for the developers. So it will deliver us more reliable code, and yeah, the testing and the execution, as you can see, it's very fast. Yeah, there was some time spent while to compile the application stuff, but if there is a lot of unit tests in one suite, it will compile just only once and execute all at once in one compilation. So yeah, that's why we need to write these unit tests, and yeah, developers, you have to do that. That's important. So yeah, the next testing level is integration tests. How many of you have heard about this testing level? Okay, and how many of you have written some of them? Okay, yeah, 5 people. It's something. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, this testing level is very similar with the unit testing level. It tests application code functionality, and basically what it takes multiple objects and joins them together and tests the interaction between those objects and see if the result is accepted. Yeah. And the same, it's usually performed by developers, but it might require some access to third-party systems like databases and stuff. And I was trying to write simple unit test for this application, and it took a lot of time to understand how to get access to SQLite database. So yeah, it requires real knowledge of the application. So okay, let's take a look at the simple example of the integration test. One moment, I will switch to the correct page. So yeah, this one will be a little bit more advanced because it's required to create a database helper and stuff, but it won't take too much time. There's only 8 lines to write. So yeah, first thing what we need to do, at this case we'll create simple integration test which will add our question in the application database, and after that it will get back that question and test if it's the same. So what we need to do, we need to define database. Let's call it simple database, and we need to define the question which we'll add to that database. So yeah, when it's done, before the test, under the setup method, we need to give some value to these created variables. So yeah, let's just create a new database for that. So at this moment we need to get, this is Android specific, we need to get activity for that, and for the activity we can get context. But yeah, okay, it's similar I think to the IS2, something like that. And now we need to create new test object, which we will give some value to the test object, some properties. And it's the same as the previous unit test example. Let's call it just name and some options like A, B, C, and correct answer, like for example A. So when our testable objects are created, let's test the interaction between them. So let's take our database and let's add our question into database. After that, we need to get back that question from the database. But there's only a method which will provide all the questions. But there can be other questions too. So let's get the last question from that list, and that that method will return us a list. So we need to get specific element at the location. One moment, it won't take too much time. So let's call our question simple as database question. Yeah, something like that. And now we need to compare if our question from the database is the same as we defined it at the beginning. So yeah, just let's compare them. So yeah, let's see how it's going to work. Yeah, it's compiling the application again. So we need to wait while we'll get compiled the application. Yeah, for the developers which are developing the Android the Android applications, if you have some suggestions, you can. Yeah, okay, I see where is the problem. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I forgot about this one. Yeah, thanks. Es nepiefiksēju konkrētu personu. Kurš bija tas, kurš pirmais pamanīja šo kļūdu? Man liekas, kāds no jums?
Es pamanīju to, ka tu rakstīji.
Jā. Jā, ok. Jā, tiem, kas iesaistās aktīvi kaut kādās diskusijās, un for those who are giving some attentions and helping us out and answering the questions, we're getting some presents. So there we go. There's a flash drive. So we can see that our test passed, and yeah, we can see that the expected result is expected, and yeah, we can try some simple negative scenario. Let's try again. Wrong name. Let's try it again with a negative wrong name. So yeah, you can see it's now running the application on the phone. and yeah, it's done. Yeah, we can see that the expected result was wrong, but we got the name again. So yeah, that's very basic, simple example of the integration test. And let's see the benefits of it. So yeah, they are very similar with the unit tests, and the benefits from them are very similar with the unit tests too. They provide us more reliable code. The response from the tests are very, very fast, and of course, eventually it will decrease the fix cost for the bugs. And yeah, there we can see very simple example what happens when you create a lot of unit tests and don't create any integration tests. Both of the units are working independent very good, but together, nope, they are not working. So yeah, that's a good example. So yeah, both of these testing levels, unit and integration tests, both are white box automation, and they are very good automation level, very efficient, but there is some problem with them, that it's not possible to validate the business requirement. It's not possible to validate end-to-end user actions. So only with these tests we cannot be sure that user can log in our application, that it can do rest of the actions, for example, send message and stuff. And another huge issue is that to write this kind of tests, it requires the knowledge in the application's code. You have to know how the application is working, and yeah, you have to know the exact programming language for that application. So it's hard to find team members like that. Basically, they have to be the developers. That's why the developers are writing them. So yeah, the next level is acceptance tests, which are the Blackbox automation usually. And yeah, this level is used to ensure that the business requirements are working, and then that the user interface is working on different devices, on different screen sizes. So basically, yeah, it's simulating the same actions as user is doing that. And basically, there are two types for that. One type is very simple to start some automated tests, and to create some automated tests, it's record and play. Another one is coded or scripted automation, which is a bit complicated, but it's a lot better. So about the record and start example, let's create simple example with Appium, which supports record and playback. So first we need to launch Appium server, and after that we will start the inspector where we can record these scenarios, and we'll take a look how the code looks when we are recording them. So one moment, it's starting up. So yeah, it launched the app, and the recording application with the Appium inspector. So let's start the recording. So we can see it generated some code which is responsible to launch the app on the exact phone to start the server and stuff. And let's now just try some simple actions. Let's click, for example, at this button. So we can see that there's more code generated. It's finding some kind of element with some kind of properties which are very hard to read, and it's doing simple click action on it. So let's try simple swipe. Yeah, and we can see it's generating simple swipe using hard-coded coordinates, which can vary on different phones, on different devices, and yeah. So that's the simple example how we can record and playback some kind of automated tests. And now let's see the benefits and the advantages and disadvantages on this kind of automation. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's very easily to start with this kind of automation. So yeah, you don't have to spend a lot of time to create some kind of basic test suite for this, but there is a lot of issues and huge issues with that the code is almost impossible to maintain. As you can see in the example, there is only some actions in the spaghetti code, and if you have to fix this kind of code when there is some change in the application, it won't be possible. And yeah, it's hard coding all the positions for the elements and stuff like that, and it won't run on different phones. It might run sometimes, but mostly it won't. So these kind of tools are very good for the projects where the application is not released very frequently, and or the life cycle for the application is not very long. So yeah, let's take a look at next example, which is coded scripted automation, where we will do simple action with the Skype application. So basically, I'll find Skype on this phone. Here it is. Yeah, we will write simple test which will launch the Skype and which will enter some kind of user information in login field. For this, we will use Appium. So we will have to define small logic which will find our element. Yeah, I will take Sheet, it will be a lot faster. The code is so small that I'm not capable to see it. Okay. So yeah, just simply let's find this element, defining how we can find it and the exact property. And yeah, to insert some information in the field, we have to send some kind of keys. And there we can specify our login information, for example. So yeah, this part will find the element and fill in the information, but we need to wait for that element to appear on the screen because it won't be visible when the application will launch. So let's call the simple wait method. So yeah, there is simple one-liner, and looks like there is no any misspelling. So let's try to run our test, and let's see the output for it. So one moment, let's wait while it's starting up the Appium. After that, I'll switch the screen to the phone screen that we are able to see what it's doing. So yeah, we have to wait while Appium instance is starting up. So here it is. It launched the Skype application. Now you can see it's finding the correct element, and now it will enter the information for that. So yeah, that's very basic, simple example. And now let's see what's the advantage and disadvantage that this case of the automation. Yeah, as I mentioned, for the Blackbox automation, the main focus is on the business requirements and end-to-end user actions. But yeah, there are some issues with this kind of automation too, that some of the tests are overlapping. For example, when you need to test at the Skype scenario how the messages are sent, and some negative scenarios when it's not possible to send the message, you have to log in 2 times for each scenario because the tests have to start from one exact place that we can be sure if one scenario fails, the next one will pass if everything is okay with the application. So yeah, there is some overlapping. And it's time consuming to write them and to maintain them, because it's completely different code from the application code. So basically QA team is usually doing that, not the developers, and it's a lot slower on the execution. So we can see that those instrumented tests in the integration and unit test levels are working a lot faster than this. But yeah, we cannot, well, the business requirements with that. So yeah, and there can be some situations when they're providing false negative or false positive results. So we have to write the automation code very good to don't allow to that happen. So yeah, there is some simple rules which we have to use to stay away from those disadvantages. Yeah, at this case, the best practice is that usually we start to automating most frequently used functionality for the application. As I mentioned, login, for example, that's usually the first part which we are trying to automate. After that comes to, for example, other functionalities like sending message for this Skype example. And yeah, tests should be simple as it's possible, because if you are trying to validate multiple stuff in one scenario, if first stuff will fail, the rest of the scenario won't be executed. So better is split those tests in more simple splitted versions where they are executed independently. And yeah, if some tests are failing, you have to take out them from the execution, or even if they are working unstable, because if there will be failing scenarios, report will be as failed, and yeah, team will assume that, oh, okay, it's failing again, it's normal. But there can be some serious bugs in the application which can get in the market if no one is checking them.
How do you identify the unstable tests? What criteria do you use?
So yeah, when you have, for example, at the continuous integration system, you have some kind of history of the test run, and you can see that one specific scenario is failing one time and another time it's passing, for example, at ratio 50 against 50, then it's unstable. Then you can surely take it out. So, or you have to fix it, but you cannot leave it that way there, because then everyone will assume, oh, okay, it's failing again. It's okay. And yeah, there is some guidelines which should be discussed inside the team, which should be defined, and everyone should follow these kind of guidelines while they are rating the scenarios, the automated black box tests for the project. So yeah, let's take a little simple example where we are describing these guidelines in general. So first and most important part is we have to split the application locators and the test code, and we have to split the user data from the test code, so that we can create object-oriented code and not huge spaghetti code, which is impossible to maintain. So yeah, and tests have to start always from the base state, that we can be sure, as I mentioned previously, that if one scenario fails, then another one will pass if application is ready. So yeah, the example for that is, for example, when we log in at the first scenario, and then the rest of the scenarios will assume that you are logged in already. But if the login fails at the first scenario, every else test will fail too. So that's why you have to log in each test, that you can be sure that it will be logged in always. So yeah, there is example of the Blackbox Automation. Oh, there's a chair on the projector. Yeah, here's a simple design example of the Blackbox Automation using the Appium. So everything starts from the acceptance criteria, which we call like a feature files, and there is defined some kind of scenarios which are the test case, which describe simple correct action for the user, and it contains some kind of steps which describes user actions on the application. Here you can see, for example, there is example step where it logins in the application, then it does some kind of action, and then it checks if the action is done correctly, if the result is expected. So yeah, and these smallest parts of the scenarios, these steps, are described here in the next part at the step definition objects, which calls test objects. And these test objects, this is the part where you join the test data, the user data, for example, login information, emails, passwords, and rest of the test data with the page objects. And the page objects are the objects where each object is describing specific screen of the application. For example, at this Skype, at the Skype example, we can see that there is a login screen which have few elements which we have to define in this page object, and there are a few actions which we can do. For example, we can insert email and we can submit login. So yeah, this is the place where we define these actions with the elements. So yeah, not all the scenarios not at all the projects we need Blackbox automation. So there is a case when it's more required, and then there is case when it's not so required. So for example, if the projects have very frequent releases, like 2 or 4 weeks, and all the developers are working in the same code base, and there are many developers, not only one, then it's good thing to have Blackbox automation. So yeah, that we can be sure that we catch these bugs as soon as it's possible. But if this application has only one version, and if there is no very frequent release, or if there is only one developer, then it's not so important. And yeah, the scenarios where we have very negative impact, if there is some bugs in the market where you can lose actual money or the clients, for example, banking, money transfer, or huge user base like Skype, at those kind of scenarios, Blackbox automation it's required to have that. So yeah, let's take a look at a simple example how Blackbox automation is working at the real application with the real scenario. So there we can see 3 devices, all 3 are iPhones, but different ones with different operating system versions. We can see that user will try to log in, filling in some email and password, and when it will be done, it will try to change the password for the user. And we can see that it's running at different speeds on different devices. Devices are almost the same, but it's running at completely different speeds. So yeah, that's a good example why on complicated applications the record and playback tools won't work very well. So yeah, we can see that first one is already changing the password. Oh no, the second one is changing the password. First one will do that soon. But the third device is only trying to log in. So yeah, that's done. The second client changed the password, and yeah, let's run, finish it. So yeah,
My question.
yeah, okay.
This demo is basically the same thing could be done within Xcode with the UI tests. What are the advantages of this Appium then?
Yeah, the difference between the Xcode UI tests is that it's more like a white box.
Sorry?
It's more like a white box automation. It's more created for that kind of reasons, and you need the good knowledge in the application to create that kind of tests. That's the main difference.
It's very easy because code is automatically generated. You just launch it in simulator, do the actions, and also you can specify edit the generated code, so it validates it.
Yeah, I have seen that kind of tools we have tested in. Yeah, it's kind of similar, but it's a bit different level. Sorry, my chair again. Yeah, this one it's not the only one tool in the market. There's a lot of tools. This one is only a simple example how to use those tools.
Okay.
So yeah, And yeah, let's take a look at the good practice, how the tests should be structured and how many of them we should create. So we can see there is a button at the bottom is unit tests, which is the base of everything. That's why they need to be created a lot, and that's why developers have to do that. And the next step is integration tests, which are less than unit tests, but still there are a lot of them, and the acceptance tests. The acceptance test, the Blackbox Automation, it's validating only few of all possible logical paths in the code, not all of them. It's wrong to try to validate all the stuff which unit tests should do with the acceptance tests. The response from the tests will take a lot of time, and it won't be so safe and so fast to deliver good code. Yeah, okay, I have some questions for you for the audition. So how do you think, how much we need to automate? So yeah, maybe if you have some opinion on this, you can raise hand and give some answer.
As much as possible.
Okay, how much is possible?
It depends on the applications and business logic and stuff.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good answer because the applications are different, and yeah, it depends how much is possible, how much do you have time for that, and yeah, stuff like that. Okay.
I've heard the phrase that you should test until fear turns into boredom. So when you don't feel fear anymore and feel bored, then you have taken enough tests.
Yeah.
Well, I would have another answer for this, because you should automate till the moment when the business benefits from this. Otherwise, you are spending money of your customer and automating for no reason.
So yeah, but
So if I cover everything with automated tests and then I make change and my tests need to be adopted, and take time 10 times more, then what the benefit?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, basically, we need to try to automate as much as possible. But if we are doing that too much, we will waste our time, and there won't be use for that. So about the unit tests and about the code coverage. How much code coverage and how we can measure the code coverage? How much coverage we need? What's recommended, and how we can measure that? Maybe you have some opinion on that, some examples.
Depends on the project, but 80% is good.
Yeah, okay, that's a good answer.
I would say that don't believe the code coverage, because covered lines of code mean nothing.
Yeah.
And your unit test can go to that line, but actually do not test it properly.
Yeah, there are multiple answers, and a lot of developers and managers believe that developers have to decide how much it's important to automate, because they are those who know how much and how to test properly their code from the unit test perspective. So yeah, there's one for you. And yeah, there's one for you. Thanks. Yeah, I already mentioned the answer to this, but yeah, okay, I'll try to get that from you too. Is it possible to cover everything, all the code from the Blackbox Automation without the unit tests? Okay, if it's not possible, why it's not possible?
It's possible. It's only a matter of how much resources do you have. Because that time to just waste for those things that you can test on hand.
Yeah, exactly. It will be a lot efficient that we will validate most of the code using unit tests, not try to validate all the stuff for with the Blackbox Automation, because it will simply take too much time, and we will spend more time writing tests Oh, maybe you can provide that flash drive to him. Okay, thanks.